Good morning, and we've got Harry and Lisa here to talk you through the Bootcamp launch. So this is hugely exciting time for us. We've been working on this for a few weeks now, mainly because so many people seem to be in a state of panic and frustration. They kind of go from one extreme to the other, don't they, Harry? So you've got some people that are panicked and frustrated and don't know what they're doing, and other people sort of just settling down and chilling out into a furlough state, depending on, which way their businesses have gone. So what I'm going to do is, now that we've said hello to Harry, I'm going to switch over into a slightly different screen and share some slides with you. So because Harry's on Skype, he's going to disappear now. Haven't worked out the tech yet to work out how to get Harry in alongside me while I'm doing a slide share. So we're going to be introducing the Business Bootcamp today. So can you see these slides, Harry?
Not at the moment. Let me just.
Over into. You just switch over into the Facebook group so you can see them there.
Yeah, for some reason I don't even have you popping up as live. I've got the slides down here. Worst case scenario. But I don't know how delayed my phone is, but I still haven't even got the live update. Very odd.
Oh, that's odd. Well, we're definitely live because we've got people showing, and we're definitely in Profit Hackers, or I hope so anyway. Right, okay, so introducing the Business Bootcamp. What is this all about? So this is for business owners, for bookkeepers, for entrepreneurs who are determined to step up and not give up. So these are unprecedented times. We've never seen anything like this before. And some of us have had customers that have started to close or have reduced their activity with us. Others have had people take on more clients and have got more clients that are doing things in this new environment. So there's a big swing between people who've sort of gone down the holy crap, what do I do? Everything needs to close, versus the right, okay, what can we do to take advantage of this, and what can we do to really move our businesses forward? So as horrible as crisis and recession are, it's these changing times that often lead to great new opportunities.
Most definitely. And many businesses will actually come out of this period stronger. That's one
That's
thing.
absolutely, yeah. So we think they're going to come out stronger, leaner, and more profitable, but providing they take action now. So I'm in a number of business groups, and a lot of people have said actually they've found that being forced to go online and being forced to run their businesses from home and not do the traveling and not spend that time going from one customer to the next, they've actually found that their business model is more profitable. So even though in some cases they might be charging less to their customer because they're trying to help their customers by charging a lower fee, they're actually making a bigger profit margin because they're doing more hours of consultancy or training or whatever it is during a day and less travel from one client to the next. So it's an interesting time for pivoting the way that your business model works.
Mm.
So we are convinced that people are going to come out of this stronger, leaner, faster, and more profitable, but only if they pivot, only if they change what they're doing. So we need to make sure that your business is one of those ones that succeeds in this new environment and doesn't falter.
Most definitely. Now, recessions and crises in themselves are also one of those interesting environments where actually you do get businesses who perhaps have to restructure and reformat. But actually, and crises are also a good start for new business opportunities. I think it kind of gives people the opportunity to start looking at things differently, really. So when you're in one of these situations where we are now, start looking at some of your various customers and start working out what you can do differently. And I think this links in quite well with the whole lean process as well, because if you do happen to have staff, perhaps you realize actually I can perhaps do the same amount of work with two staff members rather than three staff members, and it's things like that. So how can you service your clients, and perhaps how have their pain points changed?
Yeah. So we've got three objectives through Bootcamp, and the first objective is to access survival finance and make sure that your business is steady. Make sure that your starting point is clean. You have enough money to, make it through the next month, and you're steady to start pivoting. Then we're going to look at pivoting your business for profit. So what do we need to do? How do we need to change things to get ready for that growth period? And then we're going to be looking at growth. So, what opportunities do we have for growth, and what opportunities do these new changing markets offer us? And there is a lot of opportunity out there if you know how to capitalize on it and if you know how to find it.
Most definitely. And I think that's going to be the interesting challenge for it, because actually there's so much we can be doing and there's so much we should be doing to help tackle basis. So now the point is to start putting some actions into place and start moving forward, so that when we do come out of this, we're all running rather than walking or crawling. So really, really key part is that there is so much we can do now, even though times have changed.
Yeah, so we've pulled together a 12-step boot camp, and this is a plan to future-proof your business. And we're going to start with getting cash clarity, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So we've identified 12 steps that we think will help make your business more profitable for the future. I'm going to talk through each one of these with Harry, and we're going to tell you what we think these mean, how we think these will help your business. Now, the question is, how do we then deliver those? So some of these make sense in a week by week format, so that they give you, a new perspective for each week, a new set of tasks each week, things to do, things to action, and then we take it on a week by week basis. But some of these you can't wait for 6 to 8 weeks before you start implementing. We need to start doing things about those now. So although we've got 6 sections or 12 sections here that we want to talk about, all geared around steadying your business, readying your business, and then growing your business, we might deliver them in a more flexible format. So it might be that we have, a couple of teachers a week to get us going, and then maybe we focus on something big over another week. Then maybe we tackle 2 topics in another week. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how the Profit Hackers team are all tackling these and what works in what businesses. So I wanted to let you know that there are 12 steps that we want to action over the next 90 days, but we might need to be more flexible in what we do and how we do it, depending on how people are moving forward.
Yeah.
So let's look at each one of these in turn. So
and let's start off with getting cash clarity, which I can't even say properly.
one of those tongue twisters, isn't it?
Typical. So I suppose the main thing with getting cash clarity, I said at that time, is we need to know where you're actually starting from and what your cash flow gaps are. Now, this is the part where if you don't already know the answer, most definitely do this process, because we need to understand exactly what our position is. And even if the answer is not what we're looking for, you will still need to know your starting point. Now, this in particular comes in really, really helpful, because if you are looking at perhaps funding through any sort of debt, or if you're looking for grants, etc., then this will come into use, because then you know roughly how much you're looking for, you know what your shortfalls are, if there are any, or more importantly as well, you might actually see that you have more there than you first thought. So it's kind of key from both aspects, but we need to know exactly where we stand now.
yeah, I think the challenge at the moment is everybody's in panic mode, and so everybody's looking at what grants they can get and what they might be eligible for. But not many people that we've worked with have actually started looking at their cash flow to have a look to see where they really are today. So we're not going out as much anymore, or at all. We're not traveling. We're not spending the money that we were on entertainment. Perhaps the costs have changed. You might have a new Netflix subscription, or might be buying movies and things like that. But all of a sudden, our costs have changed. So our outgoings are probably nowhere near as high as they used to be. If we've been able to defer our mortgages or reduce our loan payments, all of a sudden our cash flow requirements in these next 3 months is much less than it would have been a month ago. So it's really important at the moment to understand exactly where you're coming from and what your cash flow requirements are. They will be different to how they'd been before, and this is good, but it's only going to be short term. So once you understand what your cash gap is, it's liberating, and we've had clients in the past when we've done cash flow forecasts for them who said even if the answer is bad, at least they know where they stand, they know what gap they've got to fill, and they found that strangely reassuring, even though the answer was not what they were expecting. So one of the important parts again of getting cash clarity is also understanding what costs you need to retain, what costs you need to reduce, and what costs you need to remove. So we'll go through that exercise as well. A lot of people have done that already, but it's always worth a revisit and a rethink.
Definitely.
So, financial measures. We need to get a really clear understanding of the financial measures that are available to us, those that the government have released. So, and then to look at whether we need them or not. Do we need to defer our VAT payments? If we could, then that gives us a cash grant now or a cash influx now that we can use to support the business, but we still have to pay it back later. So, they give with one hand and they take away with another. So it doesn't change the fact that your VAT liability is due, it just defers that payment. It's the
Yeah.
same with the second instalment if you're self-assessment. If you're paying tax on account under self-assessment, you can defer that until next January again. So again, that might help you in the short term, but it causes a pain in the longer term when you have to repay that later.
I
Now,
think the here is a lot of people may look at it as a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. So it's that kind of aspect of, do you really need to make use of it? Because if you don't, all you're doing is essentially deferring your liabilities because they don't go away. So I think it's key to understand whether or not you really need to, and
yeah.
whether or not.
Now, I think it's quite key in this situation to take the cash and use that opportunity, but put the cash to one side so that you don't actually spend it unless you need to. So this is where it's really important to have a second bank account or a savings account or somewhere you can put that cash without needing to touch it. So, and then the next question is to furlough or not to furlough. And I think from a director point of view, that's quite important and probably quite obvious. If you've got a business that you're trying to keep going through a crisis, that's not going to happen if you furlough yourself. But if you have to furlough some of your team, then potentially that's not a bad thing to have to do. All right, so are you there, Harry?
I have indeed. We're looking at a 90-day profit plan next. So with this aspect, we want to identify where you are now and where you want to be. As mentioned before, it's kind of similar to the whole cash clarity thing, but from a profit perspective, we need to understand whether we need to fill the gap. We need to know where we are and where we want to be in the first instance. So with this one, we'd say to create a simple, actionable 90-day business plan. So you can take profitable actions today. The idea, obviously, now is actions we take today protect the business tomorrow. And this also links in with the whole loan applications. If you're going down that route, they will almost certainly, well, many lenders will likely ask for a business plan or a profit forecast or anything along those lines. So actually, it's not just for your own clarity, it may also be required for some of these various options.
Yeah, now we know from what we've seen on CBILS so far that there are lots of opportunities for CBILS loans, but something like 150,000 people have applied and only 4,000 or 5,000 people have been successful. So the CBILS loans scheme has been reviewed at least once or twice already and will probably be reviewed again because it's just not working. The banks are not giving the cash to the customers that are asking for it, applying for the lending. So it comes back again that if some of these financial measures are not going to be there, the only opportunity we really have is to trade our way out of this crisis, and that is where your 90-day profit plan comes in. And this is going to be unlike a profit plan that you've ever made before. There's no point in thinking any further ahead at the moment. We just need to focus on what we need to do to get through the 90 days. and then we need to focus on the next 90 days. So I would be looking for a 90-day plan, and I would be reviewing that every 30 days to make sure it's still going to take us out of the crisis and take us forward for the next 90 days. We can worry about the timeline after that once we're out of this crisis. But obviously what we're trying to do is build a business that's robust, that's sustainable, and that's profitable.
Yeah. And actually, if you write it down, it makes an enormous difference, because not only is it more professional, but also a written down plan is 10 times more likely to become a reality, according to the Harvard Business School. But actually, I completely agree with that statement. We both do. Because actually, in having your plan in place, it's essentially your roadmap. It's essentially your sat nav for your business. So you know where you're heading and what trajectory you need to take to make changes and to implement actions now to improve the results if they're perhaps not as good as you want them to be, or to maintain the results if actually they are sustainable.
So one of the key things about having your financial plan written down is also you can work out what your gaps are. So if we take a step back, say your gap is £2,000 a month, you've either got to sell 200 products at £10 to make that up, or 4 products at £500 to make that up, or 1 product at £2,000, or any variation. So when you start to think of things in that way and break it down to that granular detail, how can you fill that gap and what can you do to achieve those? And we then turn those into a series of actionable plans within your plan to work out what you need to do, when you need to do it, and how that will then deliver your profits within the 90-day time frame. So we're also going to be looking at overcoming financial overwhelm. One of the biggest challenges that people have at the moment is not being able to see past the fact that, perhaps their money is running out, their customers are reducing. It looks like the cash in the bank is going to be dwindling. But if you've done your cash flow forecast and you know where you're starting from, and you've got your 90-day plan so you know where you're trying to get to, then the cash overwhelm becomes a lot less overwhelming. So then we look at what tools, systems and tech do we need to work from home effectively, and how do we manage your never-ending to-do list. Now more than ever, it's more important to prioritize the profit-generating activities and not the things that are the nice to haves and the urgents. And you might have customers chasing you for stuff, but is that stuff that's going to add to customer satisfaction, or is it going to add to your bottom line? Is it going to shore up your bottom line? So we need to change the way we think about the priorities and the things that are coming in, because our time is just too precious at the moment to waste it not doing something that's going to help our business survive. So one of the objectives is to look at 3 tasks today that are going to generate profit for tomorrow.
And then moving on from the whole profit aspect, you may actually need to be in a position now to pivot for profit. So this is an element where actually you may need to change your offer. So you may already have existing services, existing goods, etc. But actually maybe you need to change the way that it's perhaps delivered or fulfilled. So maybe perhaps moving online, or when everyone else is actually essentially panicking and waiting to the end, this gives you the step in now to help serve these people online. So it's not just about pivoting your offer to fulfill their needs, it's about pivoting the way your business works as well. So if you move now, rather than obviously moving in 3 months' time, you protect your business, you protect your income streams. Now is definitely the time to take action.
It is. And you talking about your clients' needs have changed. Your clients themselves may also have changed. So think about all the people that are now furloughed. It's not just your clients. There are all the people who are furloughed who could be learning new skills, and the business owners want them to learn new skills while they're on furlough, take it back to the business when they go back to work. So what skill have you got? What can you teach them? And how can you profit from teaching people how to generate those or to learn those new skills, or to build those new processes, or whatever it is that you do? How can you teach people how to do it whilst they're working from home, and how can you connect with them whilst you're at home?
It does give you a lot of thought points, doesn't it? A lot to think
So
about.
there is a lot to think about, and it's really important. But one of the challenges we have with that is now whether we're selling or profiteering. We've seen a lot of stuff in various Facebook groups and on various Facebook feeds where people are feeling guilty trying to sell in a crisis. So there's a school of thought where are we profiteering, and are we trying to take advantage of people in these dire situations, or are we small business owners who don't have enough financial assistance from the government? Therefore, the only way we can survive is to trade through it. Now, why would you not want to trade through it? Why would you want to mothball a business for 3 months? It just doesn't make sense. And it's not how the entrepreneur works. The entrepreneur, regardless of recession or crisis or whatever dire situation we think we're in, our objective is always to trade out of it and to build a successful business that can withstand this. So we know we have customers who need our help. We know there are customers out there who want our help but don't know about us. So what can we do to get in front of those? So I've also seen the other extreme where some really clever sales guys are saying actually we have a duty to go out there and teach people how to learn the skills that we can teach them, and that way we will help them trade out of this recession and out of the crisis. So that's another way of looking at it. Either way, we need to get our heads in the game, and we need to make sure that we are really focusing on assisting our clients and making sure that we can teach, and we're there to teach people what they need to know and give them the skills to move out of this business, out of this dire situation we now find ourselves in.
Yeah, and actually, if we all look after each other, there's no need to feel guilty anyway.
No,
So it gets
and
past that barrier.
yeah, and it's very much the small businesses are going to be the people that drive the current UK situation is going to drive us out of the recession and out of the crisis. So as much as we might be challenged for profiteering in a crisis, that there should be no shame in trying to keep your business going in a crisis. That's how we earn a living.
Exactly. So, next topic, where is the money? So, actually, what you find is that the money is still there. It's definitely still there. It might have just stopped moving, or perhaps it's moving a little bit differently. So, what we need to address are practical strategies to start unlocking those money blocks and getting the cash flowing back into your business. So, as a little bit of example, we've got our age receivables list. So, people who already owe us money, we need to be proactively up to date on this. We need to make sure that we are chasing the debt, because even though in this crisis, of course, the money is perhaps not as available, you might see more instances where people are perhaps struggling to pay. But actually, there are ways of still setting up, say, arrangements to pay. It just might be that we need to be a little bit more flexible with this. So maybe it's easier for one of our customers or clients to perhaps do a weekly payment, perhaps of a smaller increment. And then that way it keeps the cash churning, keeps the cash flowing. So remember, money is still there. Just need to identify how to collect it in.
And we also need to not get into the habit of doing too much for free. And this is one of the challenges that accountants and bookkeepers are facing at the moment. So we are in a situation where our clients are struggling with money, and they're perhaps needing to furlough teams of staff, and their own income has dried up, but they need us to do more work for them. So there's a challenge at the moment. Do you do as much as you possibly can to help your client maintain their business, to get the services, get the cash in, to get the loans if they're eligible for them, to do the cash flow forecasting, to do the business planning, do all that for them, but don't charge for them, which is actually what is kind of what we're doing at the moment. So long as they don't drop their fees, we're doing everything we possibly can to help them. Other bookkeepers have not had such success with that and have had income streams dry up and people not pay them for the work that's being done. And then they're still asking for more work and saying, well, actually, if you don't do this for me, I won't survive. Now, that is a real challenge, because the bookkeeper then stays that they're in the same situation. So you have to negotiate quite hard with that customer to make sure that you do get paid up front for the extra work that you're going to do, So we can't get ourselves into an environment where we're all doing stuff for everybody else for free. Otherwise, nobody will survive this situation. We still have to make money. We still have to run a profitable business. The landscape of it might change, the profit margins might change, but fundamentally, we still need to put food on the table, and we need to trade our way out of this. So be careful not getting into the habit of doing too much for free, but you need to be creative to do what you can to help your customer survive, which in turn helps you. So
Yeah.
there's a bit of a sort of quid pro quo situation going on there.
I think people also need to be wary that obviously there is an element of risk from both sides of the business, but I don't think the risk should be incurred entirely on one side of the company. So actually, if you did take a deposit payment, it shares the risk between the two companies or the two organizations or the two individuals. So I think in this environment, that is the fairest approach. Otherwise, what's to say you do all this work for free and then you still don't get paid further down the line, even if they've agreed to it? So it's kind of the challenge. I think there needs to be a medium in the middle. There needs to be something where actually we say, okay, happy to do this, but I think we need to share the risk on this a little bit. So therefore, I require a deposit payment.
And Kim's also just said it's not just us that's being asked to do things for free. Now, you're absolutely right. There are so many people being asked and almost expected to do stuff for free. And, you know, I had a call the other day from somebody who wanted some help with some work and they hadn't got any money. And they said, well, you know, I can't pay for it. I said, well, you know, I'm running a business. I can't help you. You can join one of our free Facebook groups and you can help in there and we can help that way. No, I want private help. Well, you know, we're not a charity. And that's the challenge at the moment. So if you're not funded, if you're not getting the benefit of any of the financial measures, we shouldn't feel ashamed of not being able to do stuff for free. You might want to do stuff for free. It might be part of your strategy to do stuff for free, to generate relationships. If you've got the money and you can afford to do stuff for free, of course, that's fantastic. Do it. So there's a lot of people doing a lot of really good stuff in various Facebook communities and putting online summits out there. So it's partly speculative and partly free work, but it gets your name out there. So that there's a difference between speculative work that helps share your knowledge with many people versus doing something for free for someone who has rung up and is almost trying to blackmail you into doing it. And that's the real challenge.
And the difference
So,
there is one's a strategy, one's a reaction.
yeah, exactly. And that's what we have to do. The strategy has to be to protect the business and to move us all forward. So our next challenge is to get in front of our customers. So we have a captive audience. They're all at home. They're surfing the internet. So how do we get in front of them? We need to maintain relationships. We need to retain our clients and we need to gain new clients. And we can do that with consistent, persistent messages. And this is where our marketing really comes in. But the marketing needs to be a lot more strategic and a lot more slick, I think. There's a huge challenge with marketing, and there's an old saying about, you know, I know that 50% of my marketing doesn't work, but I don't know which half that is. And that's never more true than in a time like now, when you need to keep yourself active and you need to keep yourself in front of your customer, but you've got so much else to do during the day. So what we need is tools and tech for simple, effective and professional looking customer communication, and have routines and habits whereby we can do a little bit of Facebooking and a little bit of LinkedIn and a little bit of perhaps generating some standard templates and tools in Canva to help us share our message on Facebook and on Twitter or Instagram or wherever it is you go, but not get totally overwhelmed so that you're spending your entire day doing it and not having enough time to get any of the profit generating work. So one of the things that we're going to be looking at is how to do efficient, proactive marketing without it taking over your day.
Yeah, especially if you're going to maintain it ongoing. So if you think about it, when back to normal, you still want to obviously actively market. So you want it to be efficient. Otherwise, all this free time that you perhaps have now compared to what you might have might not be there. So you want to make sure it's efficient so you can maintain it, even if you do have slightly less time to do so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which actually links in quite well with our next point, which is 90-minute money mastery. So always focus on yourself and the business first, and take the first 90 minutes of, just as an example, of every day, and it should be focused on activities that protect your cash flow and build your profit. Now, to emphasize a little bit more on those points, when we say to protect your cash flow, what we actually mean here in this instance is, say, looking at your age receivables, making sure that your bank is fully reconciled, so you've got all those custom receipts allocated to your accounts. Do a little bit of credit control. Let people know exactly what's owed to you, so issue some statements. Anything along those sort of lines to help protect your existing cash flow and to obviously increase it. Because the risk is, obviously, if it's forgotten about, it can perhaps spiral out of control a little bit and it can snowball. Then focus on building profit. So start identifying the aspects of your business where you think, okay, maybe it's a little bit of marketing. Maybe I can help put together this plan, and maybe I should change my strategy in this area because actually this product might be more profitable than that product. So start really looking at the ins and outs and the intricate stuff within your business. And literally, if you have to, close the door, switch off the phones, focus for 90 minutes, because you have to work in the business as well as, well, you had to work on the business as well as in the business. I said that the wrong way.
What I like to do is I get up earlier before the kids and husband are up and before anybody's awake, before the phones start ringing. And this is my first task of every day, is working on the business. It's doing things like preparing for these Facebook Lives and doing things to market them, promote them. I might send my emails out. But if I don't do it in the morning, and if I don't do it first thing, it just doesn't get done because my day gets taken over by client calls and business as usual once the doors open and we start going later on in the day. So it's really, really important. It's a bit like, when you're in the airplane that's going down, you put your oxygen mask on first before you start helping others. And the only way to get your business focused and your business marketing and your business cash prioritized is if you do that first. And it feels a bit backwards, and it almost feels a little bit selfish in a way, but it's really important that you keep your business going, especially now. So those jobs must come first. You focus on you first, and then you focus on your clients later on. Plus, it's a huge sense of achievement if you've done all those things and you know that you've done your activities, if you've planned your activities out. And getting a structure to your 90 minutes is quite difficult to start off with, and that's something that we're going to be looking at and trying to get our head around, is what can you do in 90 minutes that's quick, it's efficient, and it's effective, it protects our cash, and it looks after our future profits. So how do we do that quickly and efficiently? And we have some tools, techniques, and some strategies to help you do that, and we have experts in our group, such as Kim, who we might be able to ask to help us to develop strategies that are achievable and are manageable for running our small businesses and focusing on our marketing. So this is a 90-minute money mastery, not just marketing, but also looking at our cash flow. Super, super important. So, and then we need to look at how to build an audience. Now, we've all heard, well, hopefully we've all heard of lead magnets, CRM, funnels, follow-up, nurture sequences. And some of this should be in our 90-minute marketing. So that then starts to get a bit overwhelming and it sounds like there's too much to do. But if we implement simple processes and if we try and hack our way through sort of efficient use of time and using systems and processes properly, there's a lot you can do to, maybe you send out one email a week, maybe you do one or two activities on your follow-up or your nurture sequence, maybe you automate some of it, maybe you you have a lead magnet to try and get people to your website and then to follow up your names and address. At the moment, have you changed your lead magnet so that it shows your customer how to do whatever it is that you do to help them in a crisis? So it's super important that everything's topical. So we haven't done that yet, but it's on my to-do list, as is many other stuff. But it can't all be done today, but a lot of it needs to be done as quickly as possible. So what can you do to get people in your audience and wanting to buy your stuff, well, you have to nurture them, you have to market them, you have to tease them, you have to seed your offers. And how do we do all that when we have limited number of hours a day? So we'll be looking at tools, techniques and strategies to do that, sequences that we can put into place now that you can then implement later when you are less busy, or perhaps when you're less busy, later when you're more busy, because it's likely that a lot of us are going to be a lot busier when we start to come out of this crisis.
Yeah. And there is another golden opportunity actually within this crisis, is if you do have extra time at home, this is a really good time to help build or develop your brand. So if you do have a brand in place and you have quite a lot of recognition, maintain and build it as if you can. But this is a really good opportunity, because actually, if we do have more time at home, and we perhaps have more time to devote to this, we can start building our reputation. We can start making sure that we're out there in the forefront, getting ourselves, well, not physically, obviously, because but get known for being the expert in your field. So really, this is your chance now to let them see how good you are. And when they do find you, you'll be making sure that actually they relate to you, they connect with you. So make the buying decision easy, essentially, by building up a little bit of a rapport, building up that little bit of reputation, getting the brand out there. And there are simple strategies to get known for your expertise, and of course for your customer service as well. So if you do have any existing customers and clients, make sure that you're making use of, say, testimonials and referrals. Always very, very helpful. And just really start honing in on developing your brand, building it, and of course maintaining it, and getting the word out there, getting yourself out there.
And it's asking for those reviews and asking for people to review your Facebook page and put Google reviews up, and making sure that when people do find you, what they're then seeing is lots of testimonials and lots of feedback showing how good you really are and how positive your service is. And then it does make that whole buying decision a lot easier. So it's a great use of time at the moment when we're all stuck at home.
Yeah.
So, and finally, we need to look at streamlining for profit. So use this time to streamline, automate, or improve your own processes. And we all have those processes and things that are grating on us and that take up far too much of our precious time, and we really need to get on top of. Well, let's take the opportunity to do that now. So, and Kim says, don't forget LinkedIn. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'll have to talk to you about LinkedIn, because I'm trying to do a lot more with LinkedIn, and it's a great place to be sharing your skill set and your expertise. What I tend to find is I then meet people, or people who try to connect with me on LinkedIn are always trying to sell to me. They're never people that would potentially be my target audience, but they're people that I go into LinkedIn, I click on accept, and then I immediately get sold to, which I find really irritating. So learning to use LinkedIn effectively is a really good use of our time, and it's one of the things that's on my sort of top on my to-do list. So enormous opportunities can come from LinkedIn, especially with everybody at home. Challenge is how to do that properly. So, and maybe that's one of the processes that you need to streamline. So maybe that's one of the things that, I find LinkedIn takes up a lot of my time. So when I wrote this slide, LinkedIn wasn't really something that I had prioritized as a process to improve, but thinking about it, maybe it is. So it takes far too much of my time up, and I need to get on top of it. And Kim says we can discuss that, no problem. That's brilliant. What I think what we'll have to do is invite Kim to do a tutorial, and you can all see the magic of Kim Morrison, the wonderful things that she can share and the amazing things that she can do from your marketing side of things. So super lady, long time friend. So what's been grating you? What's been taking up too much of your time? What do you just not really enjoy doing, or it's one of those really annoying things? Let's get on top of those and work out how to streamline them. I just can't move my screen forward now. So what's next? That's a really good question. So we've given you a bit of an overview of the 12-step bootcamp plan. So this is how we aim to future-proof your business and ours. The three most important things that we're going to try and get done in the next 7 days are cash clarity, financial measures, and a 90-day profit plan. The thing that we find paralyzes people most is getting their head around the finances and understanding where they need to be and what they're trying to achieve financially. So these will be the first 3 modules that we work on over the next few days. So if you have any questions, if you have anything, any questions on what we're doing or questions on how we're going to do it, Harry and I need to go away and start building some workbooks around these things, so that you've got something to work through and something tangible that you can print off and action. And then we'll probably do cash clarity on Friday. That's one of the biggest challenge. So Amanda says that she's found that for her nothing has changed from the day-to-day job. We need to put some of these plans into place. Yeah, absolutely. It's very much the same for us at the moment. So not much has changed on a day-to-day, but it will. What we've seen is a lot of our clients' needs have changed. So what we're doing and how we're doing business is changing. Not necessarily the fact that we still need to help our clients. It's just the type of work we're doing at the moment is a little bit different. And, you know, unexpectedly, we've had 2 or 3 inquiries already last week for new business where people have found that their accountants have closed effectively at the moment. So if you've got competitors in your business that are shutting up shop, again, this is a fantastic opportunity for you to get out there and for you to take advantage of those people who don't want to work or can't work through this crisis. Perhaps there's more opportunity for you to pick up there as well. So if you have any questions, please drop them into Profit Hackers. And that's it from me and Harry today. We will see you shortly when we start to get some cash clarity. Bye for now.
Bye.